O2 has to fuse from the surface there. This is called the mass transfer. And then, if your catalyst has a pore, so you have to go a pore diffusion. Okay. So the step 3, 4, and 5 is a chemical suction, and surface reaction and suction. Okay. Then the last 2 steps is similar with the first step and second step: pore diffusion and mass transfer. Okay. So very important concept is that all the 7 steps, this approach, these 7 steps can be recurring, okay, and control the overall rate of reaction. So the rate controlling process then depends on the overall rate of reaction of surface membrane. 就是说这个速率控制这个程序它会决定整个反应速率是多快。Okay, so it's very important in the analytic process. It's essential to understand what process given the overall rate of reaction. Okay, so the rate of each of the process is function of the reaction condition. For example, like the design of the catalyst bed, the properties of the catalyst. And if the reaction condition change, so will the rate of each process and the rate of the reaction change. Okay. So next part is we give you a example. Consider the effect of the rate of hypothetical reaction described in the temperature conversion plot. So you can look at this plot. The y-axis is converging. The axis is heat. Okay. So at the low temperature, the rate of reaction is kinetic control. Okay, this part is kinetic control. Okay. However, the chemical reaction rate is very sensitive to heat temperature. Okay, because the kinetic is a high activation energy. So its rate increases more with temperature than the activation process. So see now. Okay. What the Arrhenius equation K equal to A plus A. Okay, we take the natural of A, we find the natural of A equal to over R. So from this equation, we can have a plot. So y-axis is natural. Okay. X-axis is 1 over T. Okay, so now you have two curves. One is like this one. Okay? Which one? EA1 or E2? Which one has higher activation energy? 哪一个的话题比较大？Okay, so this is the slope. Slope is here. Okay, this is the slope. So with higher slope, just with higher slope, you have higher activation energy. So from these two curves, you can conclude that the EA1 higher larger than EA2. So which one is more sensitive to heat? Which one is more sensitive to heat? Okay, so take an example of this. Okay, for reaction 1 and for reaction 2, they have the same temperature difference, the same delta T, right? And their natural K is a little bit different, right? Their natural K, the value of natural K delta natural K, right? So this one is delta natural K. Okay, these two reactions have the same delta T, with a very big difference in the delta natural K. So which one is more sensitive to temperature? EA1. Right? Okay, so EA1 is more sensitive to temperature. From the process, we have three process reaction, chemical reaction. Chemical reaction and cold fusion. This will give a summary that for the sensitivity temperature, chemical reaction is more sensitive to cold fusion and more chemical reaction is normally higher than 40 kilojoule. And the contribution is between 25 to 35 kilojoule. And then for bar equation is the smallest, 10 to 16 kilojoule. Okay, so if we plot these three processes in the red versus K plot, this is the red versus temperature plot. Okay, how is that? How does it look like? If you plot these two processes in a figure of y-axis is the red, and the x-axis is the temperature T.最怕是真的，不靠嘴巴吃饭，是真的没办法。Okay, so chemical reaction is more sensitive to heat, so you will have a more sensitive way of the red to heat relation, like this one. Okay. As you can see, there is the difference in their slope. So now you can understand the figure for the conversion percent versus temperature meter. Okay, you see, my here is the most sensitive, and here is the less sensitive because of this is okay, so if we combine these three figures in one figure, okay, you will get a figure like combine these three figures into one. We figure with a different slope like this. Because you only give a very little driving force for it. And however, the chemical reaction rate is very sensitive to heat because it's high radiation energy. So this rate increases more temperature than the diffusion process. Okay. So this part is called chemical control. Kinetic control. Okay, then for diffusion, then determine as a temperature increases. Okay, so if you increase temperature a little bit more, and you will reach a full diffusion control region. Okay, so here is a full diffusion control region. Okay, or full diffusion control region. So you can observe there's a two slope here. Okay, this slope is higher than this one. Okay, so this one is more sensitive to the full diffusion control. Okay, and then eventually the least temperature sensitive mass transfer process become very determined. If you increase temperature more higher than 25 degrees Celsius, then this mass transfer is controlling. Okay, so next, this is also demonstrated in figure 1.15 that depict the three relative rates of reaction. Okay. Okay, so this figure shows you that the relative rates of mass transfer, full diffusion, and chemical kinetic as a function of T. Okay, so the y-axis is rate, reaction rate. Okay, reaction rate. So from the red versus the T figure, there are three processes. The first one, A is kinetic. P is the motor fusion. B is motor fusion. C is mass transfer. Okay, so this curve is for kinetic wave. Motor fusion is this curve. And the C Okay, so let's take a look at three regions. Okay, the first region is low T. Okay, and the lower T region. Which one is the lowest? Which one has lowest rate? Power transfer? No. Motor fusion? No. Yes. Kinetic? Yes. So at the low T, this one is lowest. So at the low T is a kinetic control. Okay, then the second region would be like here. Median temperature. Okay, and the median temperature, which one has the lowest rate? B, right? Okay, B is lowest. So what is the process B for diffusion? So in the median, P is for diffusion control. Okay, so if the temperature goes up, you will come to this region. It's high T, higher temperature T, and T region. Okay, in a high T region, which one is the lowest? Here, right? So process C is mass transfer control. Okay. So this is mass transfer control region. So at a high T, we further high T Okay. So this figure is a conversion versus t, and this figure is a rate of each process versus t. And these two figures have the same concept. Okay. 还记得我讲过吗？我们为什么要用触媒把温度降低？因为一些不反应啊，一些反应在高温可能发生，对不对？所以我们用触媒尽量让这些反应呢在低温下进行。那为什么可以干？多拉是没在，那些负反应都是很高火化，对不对？很高火化，你产生很高火化就是这样。有没有？假设这个是负反应 side reaction， 这个是负反应的火化。我之前讲过，负反应的话能很高，所以你把它温度很很高的话，有没有？它的反应速率会大于原本要，就很多按压它的一些其他负反应的可能。所以从火化的这边就可以看到，这是斜率，火化越斜，代表火化能越大。这个把它画很细，在高温的地方有碰到，在低温不会你看，在低温的时候负反应很低，对不对？在高温的话负反应。所以我们加触媒的目的是要把温度降低，知道吗？喜欢做一些触媒实验的时候都研究很多这个触媒，都希望把温度降低。一降低之后呢，很多好事就会发生了OK， 你看，这个讲过了当低温的时候，一些负反应不会出来，反应设计也不会那么好，然后呢，你的材料也不会需要这么抗温。对，这很重要的我跟大家提示。This is the curve for a side reaction. And the side reaction is the activation energy for side reaction is really high, very high, maybe higher than your main reaction. Okay, so if you